All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Generations Legacy Autobot Minerva. Autobot Minerva here is a Walgreens exclusive, kind of following the trend of the red and white Transformers being Walgreens exclusives, like Ratchet has been, Red Alert has been, also Blue Streak, who's not red and white, but Minerva definitely fits in with the theme there. And if you're unfamiliar with who Minerva is as a character, she was a character in the Master Force cartoon, and the original toy of Minerva was actually a Japanese exclusive, and it was a repaint of the G1 Nightbeat figure, so was also originally a Headmaster, because Nightbeat was one of the Headmaster Juniors. Now, this toy is not at all Headmaster. This is just a repaint, slight retool of the Legacy Elita 1 figure that we got a little while ago. And, it works all right. I think that, they definitely designed this mold to begin with to be, partially inspired by Elita 1 and partially inspired by Minerva. But I'd say that the DNA of this toy definitely has more Elita 1 in it than it does Minerva, just because, while Elita 1, the original character from the show, had like this weird Cybertronian vehicle mode, and they've kind of just been doing whatever for Elita 1's vehicle mode. So, by giving her an Earth mode, it's a new design, but it was at least partially inspired by her, G1 show model. Whereas Minerva actually did have an original vehicle mode, and this doesn't really look much like it. I mean, it is a car, so insofar in that way, it gets close to it, but otherwise it really doesn't have much to do with the vehicle mode at all. But it does have a little light bar there, which is not something that was included on the Elita 1 figure, so it works. And I will say something that I had a problem with Elita 1 was that her feet were just super floppy on the back here, and Minerva does not have that problem. Her feet stay in place just fine, which is nice. She comes with the same accessories as Elita 1, just done in different colors here. Both of them are cast in this just translucent plastic, and this one is painted black. In terms of storage, I mean, it's the same kind of thing where you can peg them together and put them on top of the light bar if you want, or you could peg them onto the side here like this. It's a lot of stuff that's not really storage, because if you were giving it actual storage, these would hide away under the car somewhere, which they don't, which is unfortunate. But so I'm just going to put these in a box, but if you want them, it does come with them. In terms of comparisons in this mode, first of all, here she is just for the standard one with Kingdom Sideswipe, so you can see how she stacks up against another deluxe size car there. A little bit, this car mode is pretty short, honestly, and it's definitely taller and about as wide, maybe a little bit wider than Sideswipe, but it's a pretty short vehicle mode, which is fine, neither here nor there, but that's how they compare to each other. And then here she is with Elita 1, just so you can see some of the differences there in the color scheme, obviously, but also with the little light bar. Otherwise, it's exactly the same sculpting. But to get onto transformation, obviously, it's exactly the same as Elita 1. You can just leave the light bar on. That's where it ends up in robot mode as well. So, you don't have to parts form that at all. You just want to start by taking the feet and flipping them around here just like that. And then taking these sections, and they tab in here and up here on the spoiler, and just double hinging them down just like that. And then you take the little knee joints here and unlock them from each other. They kind of T-tab into each other, and that allows you to click the knees in place and straighten out the legs, and then take these other little pieces of the spoiler and rotate these pieces to the inside here. And then you want to take the arms, they're tabbed in here, and then also have a little hook tab here. So you just kind of want to, loosen them up and then rotate them out just so they're unlocked from the rest of it there. And that allows you to take this whole section, and it will kind of double hinge up just like that. You can take this panel here. Well, I guess first you want to rotate it around at the waist. Then you want to take this panel and rotate it to the inside. And then this kind of double hinges up to sit on her back. And then for the hood here, you have this sort of optional step with Elita 1 where you unlock these sections and then kind of bring them up on these armatures and then bring the rest of the hood down just like that. Which on Elita 1, I decided to leave them down just so the full hood of the car was on her back. And you just rotate the arms and the hands here. But because Elita 1 has never traditionally had that kind of shoulder detailing, whereas the reason that engineering was put in there was really for Minerva, because part of the Nightbeat design, she had these kind of big shoulder pauldrons. Let me just adjust the camera here real quick. So yeah, like I said, for Alita 1, I tend to keep those down, and for Minerva, I tend to keep them up because it's more accurate to how she looked in the Masterverse show. But yeah, that's Masterverse, Master Force, Masterverse is Masters of the Universe, different thing. But yeah, I think she looks pretty good, despite the fact that I really do think a lot of the smaller details on this were really more designed to be Alita 1. Like she still has the little, upside down T on her stomach there, which was part of Alita 1's show design from the original cartoon. It does work pretty well. She does have a new head sculpt here, which does look pretty good despite not being a headmaster. But yeah, no, I'd say the one big issue I have with her, and I guess this was kind of an issue on Alita 1 too, but the backpack is super floppy. Now, thankfully, it doesn't really matter all that much just because it flops down to where you'd want it to be gravity-wise, so it kind of just sits where you want it. But when you're messing around with her, it is kind of annoying that that's flopping around. And Alita 1 was kind of like that, but not to the same extent, I don't think. But yeah, in terms of articulation, the head is on a ball joint here and can rotate around. I find it kind of soft locks into place, looking very, very slightly to the left, which is a little bit annoying. But it still works relatively well. The shoulders here are on swivels there at the shoulder and then hinge out to the side. Obviously, you have to move these around to, get the full range out of it. She has a bicep swivel right there, a little over 90 degrees of bend at the elbow, which is nice. A wrist swivel, which is nice to see on a deluxe. A waist cut. Hips can go forward and back only about that far before she starts bumping into the sculpting back here, and out to the side about that far. She has a thigh swivel, about 90 degrees of bend at the knee there, and then the feet can tilt in, though they do kind of lock into place, so you can kind of bring them out about that far. They have a sort of intermediary locking point, and then past that they get a little bit loose. So it's really just kind of there or there is the I think sort of useful range. But yeah, obviously we can give her weapons here. Again, it's I don't really like her to have these weapons just because they have nowhere to go in vehicle mode. But she does look good holding the guns there. Besides, Minerva was really more of a medic character in the show, as I understand it. I haven't actually watched Master Force, but so I don't necessarily need her to have weapons anyway. But if you want to store them in this mode, there's a couple options. You could peg them onto the side of these shoulder bits here, but I think that looks a little bit dumb. But you could also use the peg hole that's on the light bar there, so you can just peg them together and peg them in like that, and that works fine. I think that's relatively good storage there. In terms of comparisons in this mode, here she is again with Kingdom Sideswipe, just so you can see what she looks like with the average size deluxe. Pretty much the same height there, pretty average. And then here she is again with Alita 1, just so you can see, obviously pretty much the exact same sculpt aside from the head sculpt, just, doing the typical repaint thing of kind of picking different spots to pick out in paint. I like how they did the whole waist section here. I think that looks a lot nicer on the new version. And you can kind of see the difference here, what it looks like with the shoulder bits up or with them down, because you can do it either way on either of them, but this is how I prefer to do it to sort of differentiate them. But yeah, like I said, the backpack was not quite as floppy on Alita 1, so it does feel like a bit of mold degradation, but also, like I said, it's not really that huge an issue just because, it mostly just sits how you'd want it to sit anyway. It just would have been nice if it tabbed in or anything like that. And then last but not least, to show her off with another Master Force character. Was he even in Master? I think so. Yeah, I think that that Overlord was one of the villains of Master Force, because that Master Force was the one where all of the Autobots were actually humans using transtectors, and the headmaster thing was most of the headmasters, in the Headmasters cartoon, they were actually Cybertronian or from some colony world of Cybertron, and then use the bigger bodies as the transtectors or whatever. But in Master Force specifically, I'm pretty sure that most of the characters were actually humans that used the transtectors, and I think Minerva was one of those, but correct me if I'm wrong there, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. But yeah, that's not a whole lot else to say about her. A bit annoying that it was a Walgreens exclusive, but it is also nice to finally get a new version of this character, because she's not a character that's gotten a lot of toys throughout the years, just because, the original one was Japanese exclusive, and, she's from a Japanese exclusive cartoon, so there really hasn't been like a ton of different Minerva products, so it's nice to be getting something. Though I don't know, like maybe I would like it better if like they did a new version of Nightbeat and then maybe made a repaint of that figure to be a new Minerva. But then I don't know if the body style would be quite correct, because in the Master Force cartoon, even though they were the same original figure, she had kind of like slimmer proportions, which is neither here nor there. But anyway, I'm just kind of rambling here because there's really not a whole lot else to say about her, honestly. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Generations Legacy Autobot Minerva.